My neighbor has been breaking into my house and living there while I'm at work. The police said it wasn't a crime. I bought my first house about a year ago, a cute little two-bedroom in a quiet suburb outside Seattle. Nothing fancy, but after years of renting bad apartments on a marketing salary, it felt like something I'd actually earned. I work mostly remote, so I'm home a lot, which is great except when it makes me hyper aware of every creak and shadow. My neighbors are mostly older folks who wave and mind their own business, except for Linda next door. She's maybe 45, divorced, lives alone with a small yappy dog. When I first moved in, she was friendly in an overwhelming way. Baked me cookies, helped carry a box, stood in my doorway for 20 minutes telling me we were going to be best friends. I smiled and said thanks and kept it polite. I like my space. Things got weird about 3 months in. I'd come home from a rare office day or a walk, and something would be off. Throw pillows rearranged on the couch, not the way I leave them. A coffee mug rinsed in the sink instead of in the dishwasher where I always put it. A half-eaten strawberry yogurt in the fridge. I hate strawberry yogurt. I told myself I was losing it. Stress from deadlines. A mouse. I joked to my friend Jess that my house was haunted by a ghost who tidied up after itself. She said I needed to date more. Then my lipstick went missing. A specific one. My signature red from Sephora that I'd had for 2 years. Found it a week later in the bathroom drawer. Used down halfway. Cap left off. Someone else's lip shape in it. That was when I bought cameras. A ring for the front door and one inside the living room. Cost me a chunk, but I needed to know whether I was paranoid or whether something was actually wrong. I found out about 3 weeks later. It was a Tuesday. I had a client call at 9 and was up early, showered, at my desk by 8:30. Around noon, I stepped out to grab tomatoes from the car. I'd forgotten them from a grocery run the night before. 5 minutes, door locked behind me. When I came back, the door was unlocked. I stood on my own porch with my keys in my hand and felt the specific kind of cold that isn't about temperature. I pulled out my phone and checked the camera app before I went inside. Front door camera showed nothing unusual when I left. But the inside camera, the living room one I'd pointed at the couch, had footage from 10:45 that morning. I watched it twice in the driveway before I could make myself go in. Linda walked through my front door with a key, humming something I didn't recognize. She was wearing my gray hoodie, the one with the paint stain from when I redid the kitchen, the one I'd been looking for 2 weeks and had assumed I'd left at a friend's place. She unpacked a tote bag onto my kitchen counter, her brand of tea and a box I'd never bought, diet bars I wouldn't eat. She sat on my couch and scrolled her phone with her shoes on. She petted my lap blanket, the one my mom had given me, like it was a pet. At one point, she looked around the room and said out loud, to nobody, to the empty apartment she thought she was alone in, "God, this place is perfect. Better than mine." Then she went to my bathroom. She did her full makeup at my mirror. She picked up my lipstick, the specific one I'd been missing, uncapped it, and applied it carefully. She turned her head from side to side, checking her reflection. She smiled at herself, the way you smile when you feel good about what you see. She sat at my laptop and opened my email. I watched her read through my inbox. She started typing a reply to a work thread. Then she stopped, closed the laptop, finished her banana, rinsed the coffee mug she'd used and left it in the sink. Not the dishwasher, I thought. That's why it was always in the wrong place. Tidied the counter and let herself out at 11:30, locking the door behind her. I sat in my car for 20 minutes watching it on a loop. My hands were shaking badly enough that I had to set the phone on the passenger seat to dial. 2 officers came, a man and a woman, both decent enough. I showed them the footage on my phone. The man said it was concerning. The woman asked if I knew her. I said she was my neighbor, that I had never given her a key. They knocked on Linda's door. She answered in pajamas, hair perfect, completely composed. She listened to them explain and then blinked her big eyes and turned to me. "A key? Oh, sweetie, that's the spare from when you asked me to house sit last month. When you went to that conference, I fed your plants, checked your mail. You said I could use it any time." I said I hadn't been to any conference. I work from home. I don't have a conference. She sighed and patted my arm and said I got so forgetful with my busy schedule. I don't have plants. I have fake plants. I told the officers this. They exchanged a look. The male officer said that without evidence of forced entry and with her claiming she had permission, there wasn't much they could do right now. The female officer suggested I change my locks. They left with a call us if it happens again. I changed the locks that night. Home Depot at 9 p.m., hands still shaking. I texted Jess the footage. She called immediately and said it was insane and I should confront her. I told her I was scared to. I didn't know what kind of person does this, and I didn't want to find out the wrong way. Update 1. 3 days later. They're netters. I filed a police report anyway and got a case number. Changed all the locks, had a locksmith rekey everything, added deadbolts, installed a basic security system with motion alerts, felt incrementally safer. Saturday morning I was making coffee when my phone buzzed. Ring alert. Linda at my front door, holding a pie, knocking like everything was normal. Hun, you home? Brought blueberry, your fave. I hate blueberry pie. I peeked through the blinds. She was wearing the gray hoodie, my gray hoodie, the one she'd been wearing in the footage, the one I had confirmed was taken from my house. She left the pie on the porch with a note that said, "Sorry if I upset you. Let's chat. XO Linda," and walked back to her place like she'd done something kind. I threw it in the trash. That afternoon, my friend Jess came over for moral support. We were rewatching the footage on my laptop when the doorbell rang again. Jess answered it. Linda, this time with her dog on a leash, asking if I was okay, saying she was worried about me, that she needed to check on me. Jess told her to leave. Linda pushed a step inside, saying she needed to see that I was eating. Jess physically blocked her and closed the door. As Linda left, she called back. Tell her we're fine. And she left her hoodie at my place by accident. She stole it from my house. I watched her take it on camera. Jess and I barricaded the door with furniture for the rest of the afternoon. I called the police again. Same officer told me it was still technically a civil dispute and that a restraining order might be my best option. Monday, I was at my desk working when the backyard camera I'd just installed sent an alert. Linda had hopped my fence with gardening gloves on and was digging up my flower bed. She was planting tulips, whistling. I yelled from the window. She startled, waved cheerfully, grabbed one of my pots, and climbed back over the fence with it. Then my Instagram notifications started going off. A fake account, at LaurenN_Seattle92, close enough to my real handle that people might not look twice, had been posting photos of my house interior. Photos of my couch, my kitchen, my bedroom. Linda was in some of them, wearing my clothes, face filtered but recognizable. The caption said things like, "Home sweet home after a long day, number blessed." She'd been liking my friends' posts and commenting on Jess's photos. She'd tagged me in stories with BFF goals. I blocked and reported the account. Then I walked next door. She was watering her lawn in my hoodie. I told her to give it back, to delete the account, to stay away from my property. She smiled the whole time, told me the guys DMing the fake account were really into me, told me she'd borrowed the hoodie on laundry day, told me we hung out so much it was basically hers anyway. She hugged me before going back inside. She smelled like my shampoo. I have a lawyer appointment tomorrow. I can't sleep. She watched me through her window as I walked back inside. Update 2. 1 week later. The lawyer was worth every dollar. We filed for an emergency restraining order, brought the videos, the fake Instagram, the forged note, the yard invasion. The judge granted a temporary order, 500 feet, no contact, hearing in 2 weeks. She was served Wednesday by an officer at her door. She cried and told the officer that I was her friend and that I needed her. The first 2 days after service felt like breathing again. Then I found something on my porch Thursday night, a printed email placed in my recycling bin so I almost missed it. The email was from me to Linda, thanking her for house sitting, saying the key was under the mat anytime. My name in the signature, my email header, but the font was wrong and the spacing was off. She'd forged it and planted it, apparently as evidence she had permission. Friday, a coworker emailed asking about a post they'd seen from me. The fake Instagram had gone private, but screenshots had been shared. Photos of me and Jess on a regular Netflix night, captioned as a house party, with Linda commented in as the host. Friends of friends were following her. She was building a parallel life using my face, my house, and my name. Saturday, the power dimmed for a few seconds, and then I heard scratching at the back window. I called 911, grabbed a bat, waited in my hallway. Officers found my back sliding door cracked open 2 inches. The latch jimmied. My bedroom had been gone through. Drawers open, clothes missing. On my bed was a note in handwriting that looked like mine but wasn't quite right, as though someone had practiced it. It said, "Linda, take what you need. We're one. Come live here for real. L." I packed a bag and went to Jess's. Sunday, a package arrived at my address. Inside were my missing jeans, laundered and folded, with a tag that said, "Fits perfect. Thanks, Rumi. L." Return address, Linda's house. Her countersuit against me arrived the same week, claiming I was harassing her and defaming her by spreading lies about her successful rental business. She had listed my house on Airbnb under my name, using photos of my interior with reviews she'd fabricated. I got it taken down by disputing ownership. The lease she'd uploaded with her listing was forged with my signature. I found a post in a local Facebook group from her ex-husband warning people about her. She'd lost her previous house to foreclosure the year before and moved to my street. He said she'd done this before, fixated on neighbors, tried to merge herself into their lives. The restraining order hearing was in a few days. Her window was dark, but her curtain moved when I drove past. Update: 5 days later. Police dusted the bedroom and back window. Her fingerprints on the window latch, her fingerprints on the paper the forged note was written on. She was charged, burglary to start, misdemeanor, arraignment scheduled. I thought that meant it was over. I went home with a locksmith and had everything replaced again. Smart locks this time, app-controlled, no physical key that could be copied. Triple-checked the slider, Ubered my groceries in, went to bed exhausted, and slept hard. At 3 in the morning, my smoke alarm screamed. I ran to the kitchen. No smoke, the steam. A pot of pasta water boiling dry on my stove. My brand of pasta. The burner on. My door had been locked. The app log showed no entry. I checked the inside camera. It had gone black at 1 in the morning. Someone had unplugged it. I called 911. Fire department came, ventilated the kitchen, confirmed no fire. While they were there, one of the officers checked the bedrooms. My bedroom door was shut with the light on underneath. He opened it. Linda was sitting cross-legged on my bed in my pajamas, eating pasta from my bowl, watching my TV with my Netflix account open to my watch history. She looked up when the door opened. "Hey, Rumi, you forgot to lock the slider again." She was calm, cheerful, completely composed. They arrested her while she was still holding the bowl. She waved at me as they walked her out, told the officers I was just stressed and needed help. From her pocket, they took a stack of notes, all supposedly from me, inviting her to move in, telling her where spare keys were, asking her to make herself at home. The handwriting had gotten better over time, as though she'd been practicing my signature for months. She whispered something to me as they took her past. "Found your diary, sweetie. I knew you'd want this." My diary was in a locked drawer in my nightstand. When I checked, the lock had been opened and pages were missing. She'd been getting in long before we knew about, long before the cameras. Now, update 4. 2 days later, Jess took me to her place and told me I wasn't going back until this was resolved. The bail hearing was conducted via video. I testified remotely from Jess's couch, shaking, showing photos I'd taken through Linda's fence with my phone zoomed in as far as it would go. Her living room wall. I'd been scared to look at first. Jess had to talk me into zooming in, sitting beside me with her hand on my arm. What I saw took a moment to fully process, not because it was unclear, but because my brain kept trying to reject it. My photos covered almost the entire wall, printed large and mounted in frames, dozens of them. Photos I'd posted publicly, screenshots of my face from videos, a couple that looked like they'd been taken through my windows at angles I couldn't place. They were arranged around a central cluster with candles along a shelf at the bottom. My clothes were pinned along the sides like a display. In the center of everything, a single ultrasound photo, dated about 6 months earlier, labeled in glitter pen, Baby L&L. I sat with Jess and didn't say anything for a while. Outside was an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Someone was mowing their lawn 2 houses down. The detective corroborated everything at the hearing. The fingerprint evidence, the diary pages found in her house transcribed with my words but twisted. My private entries about feeling lonely, rewritten to read like invitations, like I'd been begging her to be my family. The judge denied bail and ordered a psychiatric evaluation. Linda wailed on the video feed that I was lying, that she was my daughter. Her lawyer tried to explain that his client was experiencing a delusional episode. At the station afterward, the detective pulled me aside with phone records. She'd called me 40 times from an unsaved number in the months before she moved to my street. Voicemails saved to the file. "Sweetie, it's Mom. Saw your house online. It's perfect for us." She had found my Zillow listing before I bought the house. She had messaged the listing agent pretending to be a potential buyer, asked for interior photos, used those photos to research the layout. The detective had also spoken to her ex-husband. He said Linda's daughter Lily had died 5 years ago in a car accident. She was 22, blonde. She worked in marketing. He said I looked like her, same jawline, same hair color. He said Linda had renamed her dog after the crash. The dog's name was Lauren. 1 week later, the psychiatric evaluation came back. Delusional disorder with a fixation on her deceased daughter projected onto me. She was found not competent to stand trial and was committed to a state hospital indefinitely. Her lawyer entered a plea to the misdemeanor charges for the record. 18-month supervised release to follow any eventual discharge, with a permanent no-contact order. The police searched her house with a full warrant. In addition to the shrine and the diary pages, they found cloned copies of my ID, an edited version of my passport photo, a resume formatted as mine with her contact information, a copy of my social security number assembled from documents she'd gathered over months. I sold my house to a cash buyer, took a loss on the equity, didn't care. Jess helped me move into her spare room the same week the sale closed. I put my name on the wait list for a new place in Tacoma, somewhere Linda had no connection to, somewhere I hadn't posted about online. I deleted my main Instagram and set everything else to private. My neighbor Bob stopped me the morning I loaded the last boxes into the moving van. He said Linda had vanished after the psych hold, said she'd left her dog at the shelter before they took her away. The dog's intake name on the shelter form was Lauren. I read it twice. I drove away from that street for the last time on a gray Thursday morning and didn't look back once. The first night in Jess's spare room, we opened a bottle of wine and she said, "To ghosting bitches," and I laughed in a way that felt real and involuntary, the way laughing is supposed to feel. We opened the windows and it was quiet outside. Just ordinary neighborhood sounds, cars passing, someone's sprinkler on a timer. I still check the locks more than I need to. I still look over my shoulder at doorbells. I'm in therapy twice a week and sleeping more nights than not. But the space I live in is mine now, in a way that house never quite felt after I learned what had been happening inside it. That matters. I'm learning to let it matter. I really appreciate you watching until the end. Please consider subscribing for more content. Until next time.